All right. Well, hello everyone. My name is Efren Reyes, and I am recording this video from California. My presentation is called "It Takes a Village," and I was in the Juvenile Delinquency team. I took Capstone 2 this past summer, and what I'm going to be talking about is juvenile delinquency, but as in regards to a how they deal with it in schools. Okay, so we decided to call this a family-focused prevention model. And here is my wonderful team: Jennifer, Rebecca, myself, and Amanda. We all worked very, very hard in this project, and I hope you guys enjoy it. First of all, a powerful quote. I want to start with a powerful quote. We have the powerful potential in our youth, and we must have the courage to change our old ideas and practices so that we may direct their power towards good ends. Okay, so this is from Mary McLeod. And I think this is really important because in our group, we all share this common purpose of helping youth and understanding that if we are able to prevent some behaviors and kind of guide them and support them into the right path, we will prevent a lot of negative outcomes in their lives, right? So we might be doing some things that are not working at the moment. So how can we change those things to better help our youth? Okay, so I also wanted to read the definition of juvenile delinquency, and it means to conduct by a juvenile characterized by antisocial behavior that is beyond parental control and therefore subject to legal action. This is from the dictionary. So oftentimes in schools, kids that are, labeled as juvenile delinquents, they often get suspended or even kicked out of school or different disciplinary action like this. And what we found out is, and I'm going to show you a little bit more after, that it kind of creates more of a problem rather than trying to help the situation. We kind of criminalize their actions and therefore put them in a path to more crime, right? So how can we change this to, instead of you know a punitive model, how can we change it to more of a supportive model? So let's explore this a little bit more. So why should we care about juvenile delinquents? Like I said, we tend to have that punitive model right now, according to Macarius, Cullen, and Picaro 2017. Multiple arrests and the resulting of disruptions in education can create a downward spiral of falling behind in education, which can result in decreased motivation for academic achievement and a sense of personal potential. Conversely, interventions in this cycle can have long-term positive effects on the adolescent outcomes. So we want to, like I said, try to interfere when these kids are going through these behaviors, and rather than kick them out or have those punitive consequences, we're going to try to support them. So why is it important? Well, if we don't do this, it has a high cost, right? According to Bolivia, Wolf, and Picaro at ELPS 2015, these kids that are put into like a juvenile system are 22% less likely to graduate from high school. This means that they most likely won't attend college, so 35% less likely to attend college, and more likely, 14% more likely to experience poverty, homelessness, and dependence on the public assistance. So in a way, it does affect us, even though it might not affect us directly, but it does affect us in tax money, because oftentimes these individuals have to rely on public assistance, homelessness, other type of programs like this, right? Drug prevention centers and stuff like that, right? Or healthcare. So it costs us a lot of money. All right. A little bit of history on how this came about. Well, in the 1880s, 1990s, the No Child Left Behind Act was introduced, and this meant that there was a zero tolerance for zero tolerance programs. Influenced the juvenile delinquency approaching scene in 2000s. The zero tolerance policies were originally enacted to address increasing violence in schools by increasing police and security presence in schools. These policies led into the No Child Left Behind policy, connected standardized testing to federal school funding, which encouraged suspension of children who negatively affect test scores. Mostly children of color and those with learning disability, resulting in the extension of the reach of zero tolerance policy in many schools. This shift has been called criminalization of education. So basically, it comes down to funding. When these programs were introduced, they would suspend kids that are not doing good and things like that, so they can boost up their test scores and kind of look good, I guess. So as you can see, juvenile incarceration increased in the 1990s as a result of some of this, like I mentioned, criminalization of education. You can read this in Mallet, 2016. He was one of the main authors that we focused on in our research. He has lots of research called the school to prison pipeline, and it talks about all kinds of different ideas about why we tend to criminalize certain acts, and that puts them into a downward spiral. Okay, so in 2000, effects of juvenile incarceration are being realized, and then currently juvenile justice reforms movements reduced to detention rate. A little bit more from Mallet, 2017. He shows the disparities between different types of students. For example, who is affected, right? Students with disabilities, right? 25% more likely to be referred to some kind of law enforcement. Here, by if you're Latino, Black, more percent chance of suspension in a given year, so you're more likely to get suspended if you're maybe Latino or Black student. Also, like I said, Black students are 3.8 times more likely to get suspended than whites. Here is one district suspended 44.7% of the Native American students. So there's a lot of disparities between different types of students, and even LGBTQ students that we're seeing right now. So what are we going to do? Okay, so we have noticed that obviously it's not working. There's something that wrong about this system, because like I said, it will cost us more money. Many of these kids are not going back to their home school. They're not going back to helping them go back into society. So what we propose is using the ACE research to help with this, right? And truly, do this at a prevention level. So ACE, what it is an acronym, and it stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. These experiences can include abuse of any kind, neglect, having a parent incarcerated or deceased, and recently studies are investigating that those effects of fear of deportation and abandonment related to current immigration enforcement trends. So basically, any type of trauma that you have as a child, the trauma is something internalized by children and can lead to long-term health effects, emotional disorders, antisocial behaviors, cognitive deficits, and risk of delinquency. This is according to Wolf and Baglio. Sorry, these names are hard. 2016. So they developed a survey. The Center for Disease Control developed a survey, and it's made up of different questions. And a different question, if you mark yes, that means that you have experienced some kind of trauma. So, for example, one of the questions is if you've had divorced parents, or maybe if your parents were divorced, right? The higher the score, the more exposure to trauma, and more likely there will be emotional and physical implications. Long-term exposure to ACEs can result in physical condition referred to as toxic stress. Okay, so toxic stress can lead to changes in one's health, risky behaviors, and ability to regulate emotions, lack of control, and self-control. So what we're trying to do is try to use this research, the ACE research, to try to identify those students at an early stage. Don't wait till they're showing some kind of delinquent behaviors, but how can we catch them at an early stage where we can help them then? Okay, so a little bit more about ACEs. Basically, if you have a score of 3 or more in a survey, you are increasing health complications, you decrease your life expectancy, you have is shown to have cognitive and behavioral issues, and increase in poverty. Okay, so this is according to ACEs and toxic. Give me a second. Stress science. All right. Okay, so usually this screening occurs, this type of screening, ACEs screening, occurs with either at a physician's office, or when a child is referred to some kind of evaluation by maybe a caregiver or a parent. A lot of times this information is not shared with schools, and is kept at a obviously confidential level, which is important. So we can't really do anything with this information. So we would have kind of have to wait till the child manifests some kind of issue or behavior, and then we address the behavior. Our proposed idea is that we introduce this as a screening for students that are registering for grades 6 to 12. So basically, starting middle school, we would introduce this as a part of the registration packet. And obviously, this screening is going to be modified, a little bit modified for this type of population. And depending on that score, we kind of want to refer them to, a level of care that student needs. So this will link, I think, a missing piece that we're having right now with schools, and link community and school. right? There's a lot of disconnect right now with what's going on in the schools and what's going on at home. And we can see this by the, increase of mental problems, increase of violence, increase of, school shootings, all that. So how can we connect our community to our education, right? I think this is one of the key factors that can help us do that. So we want to propose this idea called "It Takes a Village." Just like the saying says, it takes a village to raise a child. It also takes a village to, help each other and stuff like that. We want to propose a collaborative effort to help the well-being of children and help them keep them away from any delinquent behaviors and things like that. Obviously, so there's going to be 3 levels of care with this proposal. The first level, it basically kind of keeps the school aware of what's going on, right? If a student is scored in a maybe if a student scores with more of 2 or 3 on the A score, then the students can be referred to a counselor, and this counselor is going to help kind of be the missing piece with students, parents, what's going on at home, what's going on with the teachers and administrators, and it just keeps them more connected to the school, right? And by this, it's going to help with self-control, interpersonal skills, problem solving, and healthy relationships. And also positive youth development interventions. So this is our first level of care. This would be for, students that are, we are seeing some high A scores, and just to, make sure that everything's okay at home, everything's okay, with their teachers, whatever. Okay. So the next level will be early intervention. And this will be a family focus group. So it can be in form of parenting. It can be in form of different resources that we can provide for the families, such as meals, such as parent trainings, maybe some child development trainings, and just more opportunities to have quality time as a family. So this is going to be for students that have high A scores and are also showing some behavioral problems, maybe in the classroom or in the at home as well. So this will be our second level of care for these students. So instead of kicking them out or suspending them, we're going to get parents involved. We're going to get administrators involved, and try to support that child. Try to fill those gaps that that child is needing. And our last level of care will be something similar to a wraparound service, in which these students will be referred actually to different wraparound services in the county, in which these wraparound services are able to provide a higher level of care, where they're able to work with these students one-on-one with a youth mentor, a parent mentor, and also the school staff is going to be part of that team, because obviously there might be some behavioral problems in the school. And lastly, a care coordinator. So this is for the students that also have high A score, but are also showing some maybe violent behaviors, some suicidal behaviors, things like that. So this will be our last level of care for these type of students. And we decided to focus on a school district, and it's actually a school district that I am very familiar with, the Santa Ana School District. And the reason why we decided to focus on this school district is because, several things. Has a high immigrant population. As you can see, 93.6 Latino students. And out of these students, out of 53,131 students, 42,725 are receiving some kind of reduced meals. This means that poverty levels are very, very low. Okay, there's a lot of low poverty, low parent education. Also, there is a lot of deportations. A lot of families have been split up due to increasing deportations and a lot of fear, with deportations and there's not a lot of data right now because this is just recent, but I work closely with these students, and I have seen how these students have to cope with some of their families being split, and a lot of these students obviously are U.S. citizens, so this is their home, but maybe their parent is not, and maybe their parent is deported or things like that. So this is why one of the reasons why we decided to focus on the Santa Ana School District. Also, another cool thing that is going on in Santa Ana School District is they are doing this push to link the community and the school through something called wellness centers, and they're actually in every school in Santa Ana they have a wellness center, and this is a center where parents can go if they need any type of resources. So because of this, we kind of already have some type of infrastructure where we would be able to run this type of program, right? If we needed a parenting classes, we already have that, maybe that facility where we can hold those parenting classes, or some type of resource fair. We already have that. So I feel like that's something really cool that Santa Ana School District is doing. And so that's another thing, the reason why we decided to focus on this school district. But this can be, done in any district. This is just an example. Maybe we're gonna pilot this idea in this district, but if it's successful, then I feel like it can be done in other school districts. How are we gonna fund this? This is a quote that I got from actually one of my classmates. Found this from a economist named James Heckman, and he said, "I am interested in the economics of human flourishing, or the circumstances under which people are able to develop the skills to thrive in a current economy. I developed theoretical models of parental choice and child preference formation, as well as intergeneration models of the family influence." So he basically stated that for every dollar invested in trauma-specific prevention, it prevents a savings of $8.70 to society. So meaning that if we're able to spend the money before students get to a level of delinquency or going to jail or whatever it is, we're saving society $8, $8.70 per dollar, right? Obviously, a lot of the funding for these type of programs are going to be through grants that we will we will apply for. It's also going to come from the school district, so it's going to be a combination of different fundings. It's going to be grants, it's going to be school district, and it's also going to be insurance, right? When you get to the level of the wraparound level, then we would have to, use some type of insurance if we had to hire a therapist or some type of advocate or partner or whatever. So it's going to be a little bit complicated with the funding, but I feel like it can be done and it will be worth it once we're able to implement a program like this. So that's all I have for you guys. I don't want to take too much of your time. I know I've been talking so much. So here are our references. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.